Hello, everyone. So we're going to talk about some of the structures that cells have. I'm not going to cover everything, but I'm going to talk about some basics first. So all of the cells, they contain ribosomes. So what are ribosomes? So ribosomes are these tiny structures. They look like dots. I pointed them out in one of the videos. If you're looking at a cell picture, they're like little itty bitty dots inside the cell, and their job is they're, if we said that all cells have them, if all cells have them, their job is essential. It's so they maybe they're doing something that's very important. So the job is to create proteins. And remember, we said that all cells have proteins. So we're going to talk about this process in later module when we talk about how genes get expressed into making us who we are. So proteins are an essential part of that. In eukaryotic cells, these ribosomes are found outside the nucleus. So essentially they are found in the cytoplasm. In prokaryotes, there is no nucleus, so they are just found in kind of the cytoplasm. This is just a cartoon version of the ribosome in blue. These are the ribosomes that are making the protein. Again, we'll discuss what's happening in this picture later in detail. So just wanted to point this out. So we're going to learn a lot more about it later. And then another structure that we have inside the cell is mitochondria. So this is mitochondrion is the singular, mitochondria is the plural word. So mitochondria is what they do is they will convert food into energy for the cell. And that energy is something that we call ATP. Maybe you heard that before. It's an important structure. So basically, energy, ATP is energy currency. It's like the way dollar is the currency of our world, our financial currency. ATP is the energy currency. So if the cell needs to move, it's going to use ATP to do that. If it needs to build proteins, it takes energy to do that. And it's going to use ATP. And if it's going to try to reproduce or replicate or make more cells, it needs ATP to do that. So ATP is the main source of energy for that. So this is also a structure in the body where you need to have oxygen. So that's why we breathe. You breathe the oxygen, and it travels from your lungs through your blood to your cells and to the mitochondria of your cells. And then mitochondria are using that oxygen to make ATP. Then they produce carbon dioxide as an end product, and that carbon dioxide goes back out of your cells, back into the blood, and back to your lungs where you breathe it back out. So the mitochondria are the place where that's happening. They also produce a little bit of water in the process. One thing interesting about mitochondria for this class is that they have their own DNA. So they contain their own DNA. It turns out that not all of your DNA is in the nucleus of your cell. Mitochondria also have a little bit of their own. Since mitochondria are passed on to you from your mother, that means whatever the genetics of your mitochondria are, they're the same as your mom, and they have nothing to do with the mitochondria of your dad. And that's very interesting kind of inheritance, where inheritance is always coming from mom. It doesn't matter what dad has, always coming from mom for mitochondrial DNA. So anything that can be traced to the mitochondrial DNA, any kind of trait a person might have, a lot of times might have to do with the energy production and how they can efficiently might be able to use certain compounds as something that's coming from mom. She will express it in traits probably the same way. Next structure we have is endoplasmic reticulum. It's sometimes abbreviated as ER. ER is involved in protein processing. And we'll talk more about that again later. One thing, so that we can talk about a little bit right now is detoxification. So the endoplasmic reticulum is where your body is going to be able to eliminate some toxic compounds. So maybe something that you ate that maybe had some pesticides or preservatives in the food that you ate, or maybe something that you were exposed to, you breathed it in and it got into your bloodstream. The endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, has some special enzymes in there that can kind of detoxify it. So a lot of different things can help clean up your body. And the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, is broken into two different kinds. There's smooth ER and there's rough ER. And it's based on what it looks like. So under very high-powered microscope, the rough ER has these bumps all over. So these dots, which are ribosomes. And then on smooth ER, you're going to notice a smooth surface. There's nothing on it. So smooth ER doesn't have that. And that's how they get their names. It turns out the bumps on the rough ER are the ribosomes, which we just talked about. Sometimes the ribosomes come and stick to the edge of the ER to help with making proteins. And remember, ER helps to process that protein. So it makes sense that they're working together. And then Golgi complex is basically the post office of the cell. So the Golgi complex is involved in protein sorting and shipping. They get made here in the ER. So they get made here in the ER. And not all proteins do, but ones that are going to go through the Golgi, they get made here in the rough ER. And then they can move on to the Golgi, and then the Golgi is going to figure out, okay, these are the ones that are gonna need to go over here or over there, and these are the ones gonna go over there. So basically figures out which proteins go where, and then it ships them there. These are little structures that are going to send them around. So this is a Golgi complex. So it's basically packaging and sending it around in transport vesicles. So it's making these little vesicles and it's going to be transporting things around. And the one we're going to talk about here is a special kind of vesicle called lysosome. And you can see that if you look under the electron microscope, that it's like a bunch of stacked pancakes. So this looks like stacks or something. And then there are little things breaking off from it. So you can see that in the cartoon version a little bit better. So those are going to be little vesicles or lysosomes. Those are different things, even though the lysosomes are kind of specialized vesicles. And you can see them here. They're budding off and turning into that specialized vesicle. So in the next video, we are going to discuss lysosomes. I'm going to stop here for this one.